Hi everyone, this is Dave Anderson from Helicool's Helipad, and welcome to my man cave. And today we'll be talking about dark adaptation. Several things that we can learn here for our tactical use, so stay tuned. To talk about dark adaptation, I first have to talk to you about what is the definition of dark adaptation. Well, it is a biochemical process in which the eye becomes more sensitive to lowering light levels, as opposed to, let's say, a photochemical process, which a photochemical process needs to have light in order for the rod or the cone to activate, and thus photochemically send signals through the optic nerve into the brain, and it determines what kind of image is out there. It is a biochemical process in which virtually the rhodopsin that is in the rods actually comes together over time, and it fills up like a gas tank. Now, just so we're clear here, during the daytime and when I'm in this brightly lit area, my dark adaptation is at the 0 level. If my rods were really sensitive right now, I would be like squinting in pain. That's just too much into my eye, and it hurts. You ever been in a dark environment, somebody flicked the lights on, you're like, oh man, that kind of hurts. Well, not only is it painful because your pupils dilated and there's a whole bunch of light coming into your eye, and there's extra heat coming from that, but it's also because all of those rods are very, very sensitive, and mostly because of the rod's sensitivity. They are bleaching out very rapidly. Your eyes are very sensitive, and they have to have time to adjust. And that is why you have that excruciating pain when somebody turns a light on when you're fully dark adapted in a dark room. Next is the starting level, and you really have to talk about two factors when you're talking starting level. First factor being what you did during the daytime. If you were like snow skiing and it was a bright sunny day, or up on the roofing your garage or something with some brightly lit tile, or beach combing where there's a lot of glare off of the sand dunes, 2 to 5 hours of bright exposure to light could cause up to 5 hours to fully dark adapt that evening. And successive days of that could cause successive days of very slow dark adaptations, such as 2 to 5 hours of brightly lit area during the daytime on day one. That night, it could take you up to 5 hours of dark adapt. The second night, it could take you only 3 hours of dark adapt, and the next night, maybe only 1 hour. So it does have a cumulative effect, especially if you do it over a couple of days, or it's a long period of time of some very intense light during the daytime. So next is the sensitivity of cones versus rods. The eye has about 256 million receptors in each eye, and only about 5 to 6 million of those are cones. Consequently, the rods, the sensitivity of the rods, are 1,000 times more sensitive than cones. When the rods become fully dark adapted, in other words, those two chemicals come together to make rhodopsin over time, the rods become 10,000 times more sensitive than what they were at the start of dark adaptation. Total eye sensitivity, because you have so many more rods than cones, becomes 100,000 times more sensitive than what you see during the day as what you would see at night when you are fully dark adapted. Conversely to that, if you wore sunglasses, or you stayed inside, or was in a movie theater and you weren't exposed to a whole lot of bright light during the daytime, you're going to dark adapt much quicker than somebody who has even just been randomly in and out of lights, maybe not so bright, maybe not so dim. You're going to dark adapt quicker. Now that's the first thing. The second thing is where you're dark adapting. The lower the illumination of where you're dark adapting, the faster you're going to dark adapt. So if you're dark adapting in a somewhat dim room, you're not going to dark adapt as quickly as if you were to cut all the lights, all those shades are drawn, there wasn't one little speck of light coming into the room. You would dark adapt much, much quicker. The last few things I have to talk about are the time to dark adapt. Now, depending on your starting level, what you did during the day, and where you are dark adapting, it's going to take you normally 30 to 45 minutes. Now, if you were out in bright sunlight, 2 to 5 hours, it's going to take you up to 5 hours. But under normal circumstances, about 30 to 45 minutes. The time it takes you to readapt after viewing a bright light source can be anywhere from 5 to 45 minutes. Now, a very, very fast flashing light, let's say the tail fin top light on a Black Hawk, it's a strobe, flashes very, very quickly. That kind of light does not disturb our night vision whatsoever. I'm talking more like being flashed by a big, huge flashlight, being spotlighted, lights being flicked on for more than just a few seconds. That's what I'm talking about. And depending on how long that exposure is will depend on how long you have to dark adapt. It could be just 5 minutes, but it could be so severe that you have to start clear over again from fresh and start at the 0 dark adaptation level and work your way up. Again, dark adaptation is 30 to 45 minutes. And lastly, if you're lucky to have a pair of night vision goggles, if you're getting dark adapted and then you put your goggles on, you take your goggles back off, in 2 to 3 minutes you'll be back to the level at which you started when you first put the goggles down, with one exception. If you wear the goggles for a long period of time, the goggles will not actually stop you from dark adapting, but you'll dark adapt very slowly because the goggles have light coming in. Remember what we said, the more the illuminated area, the slower that we dark adapt, the darker the environment, the faster we dark adapt. So with the light coming in from the goggles, it's not going to stop you from dark adapting, but you'll dark adapt very, very slowly. So really and truly, you'll be back to the in 2 to 3 minutes, you'll be back to the starting level at which you put the goggles down, plus whatever you gained when you had the night vision goggles on. Now, most of us don't have a spare set of goggles laying around, but if you were, 2 to 3 minutes, you'd be back to that dark adaptation level. And that concludes this class on dark adaptation. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you use it and share it with others. Thanks for watching. Make sure to share this and subscribe. I would appreciate it. Thank you very much. Have a great day.